Christine Anandpur. I mean, she's like at least doing interviews and getting people onto the air that I feel like in many parts of the U.S. media we don't hear from.
And according to the reporting from The Intercept, was one of the CNN reporters who confronted management about their bias in their coverage of Israel's genocide.
And she is senior. Right. I mean, she's been there for a long time.
She can throw her weight around.
Yeah. This is, you'll recall, David Miliband was the foreign secretary for England. I think it was in the last couple of years, late aughts.
Ed Miliband's brother, who was a labor leader for a while.
Exactly. And he is now the president and CEO of the International Rescue Committee. One hopes that, like, when you have like people this close to sort of like power, like in a major country, that maybe these words resonate a little bit more with some of those people. We'll see. But here he is Wednesday on CNN talking about the famine in Gaza.
So, the WHO, you all, everybody is really trying to sound the alarm of what is, we can see by the pictures, this impending famine. Who do you blame for this?
Well, first of all, let's just be absolutely clear that the threat of imminent famine described by the United Nations is not someone, an official in New York, writing a press release. The International Phase Classification System is a detailed, technocratic, quite small c, conservative look at the facts on the ground. They describe, as Secretary Blinken said, 1 million people at level 5, that is famine level. The rest of the population, level 4 is considered an emergency, level 3 a crisis. So 2.2 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. And the million who are at risk of famine, imminent risk of famine, in level 5, represent the fastest degradation, the fastest acceleration of a hunger crisis that's ever been seen. Now, how do you explain that to get you to your question? This is about very straightforward decisions that are being made on the ground about the number of crossing points, about the number of trucks that are allowed to go through crossing points, about what aid, above all food aid, is allowed to go on the trucks that go across the crossing points, about the transit of trucks once they are inside Gaza, because you'll know a World Food Programme convoy was turned back in the middle of the night inside Gaza last week. So you've got a series of impediments, blockages, restrictions being put in place on lorries carrying the most basic humanitarian aid. And it's not getting through to the people who need it. That's why you're ending up in the situation where what are frankly fourth and fifth best alternatives, dropping aid from the sky, building a pier that's going to be online in another 6 weeks, that won't help the people at imminent risk of famine now. What they need is different decisions about crossing points, about truck numbers, about what goes in the trucks.
So those decisions...
we should be clear here. There's a couple of things to note. First off, the experts I've been reading basically say that, like, with a significant portion of the people, particularly in northern Gaza, the implications of this famine, even if aid was to reach them tomorrow, there are going to be lives, many, many lives lost. Many children who are going to suffer throughout their life as a function of this malnutrition, intense malnutrition at this age. The other thing that strikes me is never said the word Israel. When he's talking about all of these decisions in terms of border crossings, these decisions internally, we know who's making these decisions. This is Israel making these decisions. And they are decisions. And even though he is being too diplomatic, for whatever reasons, that is the case. He's saying there are decisions being made, and there is only one decision maker that is making decisions for every single one of those things he said, and it is Israel. Israel is deciding to stop the trucks internally in Gaza that are going with aid. Israel is the one who is stopping any aid entering into the country in any meaningful manner. Israel is the one who is preventing this aid from reaching people. It's Israel. Every one of those decisions that are causing this famine and starvation is Israel's decision to make.
Because of the nature of this. And I think just to reiterate for people that may be hearing this kind of thing for the first time or may not be familiar with the dynamics of Gaza. Gaza is and has been considered an open-air prison for decades. Israel controls their borders, land and sea. They control what comes in, they control what comes out. That's why they were able to shut off electricity, water, internet at the beginning. This is not a famine in a country that is sovereign. Gaza, Palestine isn't even a state. They don't have the ability that other nations might have as well. So like it's so man-made and so uniquely controlled by Israel that I just don't love. I mean, and look, he's doing great work, right? But we have to be clear about the language that we're using, to Sam's point. These are decisions made by the country that controls this population every part of their lives and has controlled every part of their lives for many years.
And it was predictable in October that this is the direction this was going to go. And like we've spent months saying like, oh, maybe this actually is counterterrorism, what's happening in front of our eyes. And it hasn't been. It's been mass starvation, collective punishment.